Looking for the most popular Scottish tourist attractions? Welcome to WatchZilla. Today we are going to give you our top 21 best attractions in Scotland based on the latest visitor numbers. Think of Scotland, and you'll likely conjure up images of tartan-kilted Highlanders, skirling bagpipes, the Loch Ness monster, lonely castles, golf, magnificent scenery, and shaggy Highland cattle. All of these are part of the mystique of this unique country, but also a very real preview of what tourists see there. You can explore Scotland by boat, on foot along its rails, on scenic train rides, or touring by car, and each will lead to unforgettable experiences. History is everywhere as your sightseeing adventures take you to the castles and fabled battlefields where clans fought. See you trace the footsteps of legendary kings and queens, or follow literary trails blazed by Robbie Burns and Sir Walter Scott. Another of Scotland's great attractions is its solitude, with its remote stretches of heather-covered moors, secluded beaches, and wild, romantic mountains, with their deep glens and lochs. Whether you choose vibrant cities, historic towns, or remote moors and islands, you'll find they are filled with memorable things to see and do. We've got iconic castles, incredible museums, family days out, beautiful gardens, and places off the beaten track. What's more, many of them are completely free to visit. Number 21. Riverside Museum. One of Scotland's most visited attractions, the free Riverside Museum in Glasgow gathers together the history of transportation by land and water in an eye-catching new venue. During the course of a visit, you'll see trams, locomotives, buses, horse-drawn carriages, and vintage cars, along with ships and other models. A highlight is the authentic reconstruction of 1938 Glasgow streets, with shops you can enter and platforms leading up to all the locomotives on display. In all, more than 20 interactive displays and 90 large touchscreens add images, recollections, and films that bring added meaning to the collections. Outside on the River Clyde, you can board the SS Glenlee, a tall ship built in 1896. It has the distinction of being the only Clyde-built ship still sailing in Britain. Number 20. Kelvingrove Art Gallery and Museum. You'll want to keep coming back to this museum time and time again. Since a fire devastated much of the work of Charles Rennie Mackintosh at the Glasgow School of Art, Kelvingrove Art Gallery and Museum has become the primary destination for admirers of the Glasgow style, a distinctive part of the arts and crafts movement and Art Nouveau styles of the early 20th century. Set next to a classic Victorian park by the River Kelvin in Glasgow's West End, Kelvingrove Art Gallery and Museum house a staggering 8,000 objects in over 22 beautiful galleries. Created and opened shortly before the fire, the Charles Rennie Mackintosh and the Glasgow Style Gallery includes several entire Mackintosh rooms, as well as works by other prominent artists of the movement. Along with other notable treasures, a Van Gogh portrait, Bronze Age tools and jewelry from Arran and Kintyre, a 1944 Mark 21 Spitfire, and a magnificent 1901 organ used for daily free concerts. One of the museum's most popular exhibits is Salvador Dali's Christ of St. John of the Cross. Number 19. Edinburgh. Edinburgh, home to many legends, is an extremely rich city in terms of culture and history. It's a must-see during your trip to Scotland. Edinburgh is split between the medieval Old Town and the modern New Town, bringing two different atmospheres to the city. Cute cobblestone streets, a ridiculous amount of cute coffee shops, amazing vibes, and much more. It's one of the best places to visit in Scotland and makes for a perfect Scottish city break. Number 18. Mallaig. Mallaig is a port town in the Scottish Highlands that is significant due to the workings of the town. You can either drive there or visit as part of a ride on the Jacobite Express. It's a one-way in, one-way out sort of road, but you can get ferries to other islands in Scotland from here. This small fishing town in the northeast of Scotland is well worth a visit, especially to see the Jacobite Express steam train up close and to go to the Isle of Skye by boat. This small town is now home to tourism, but once was a thriving fishing, working village. Now you can visit one of the coffee shops, grab a bite to eat, take a walk around the harbour, and pick up some souvenirs. Mallaig comes alive around 12:30 p.m. as the famous Jacobite Express crosses the village. You will also find many restaurants and snack bars to have lunch before embarking on the ferry towards the Isle of Skye. Number 17. Glenfinnan. Only a few minutes away from Glen Coe village, Glenfinnan is another must-see. Glenfinnan is 100% one of the most beautiful places to visit in Scotland. One special thing makes this touristic village worth a visit. The impressive viaduct located nearby, where you may even see the Jacobite Express if you are there at the right time. The train crosses the bridge every morning around 10:30 and in the afternoon around 3 p.m. Tourists rush to the viewpoint as the train arrives and sounds its horn. It's a truly magical scene Harry Potter fans will love. Not only can you go to the Glenfinnan viaduct and catch a view of the Harry Potter train coming across the tracks, but there are so many beautiful walks and sights in this area. Just across the road from the viaduct, you've got the Glenfinnan Monument with simply amazing views across Loch Shiel, and if you drive a little further down the area, you'll come to Loch Eilean, which was used a lot in the Harry Potter movies. Number 16. Glasgow. Your trip to Scotland wouldn't be complete without a stop in Glasgow. Located in the south, Glasgow is the largest city in the country. In addition to being an important industrial and cultural city, Glasgow is also home to many students. The university grounds are beautiful in autumn, the Kelvingrove Art Gallery and Museum is amazing, and there are so many great pubs and bars for buzzing nightlife. The art life is amazing, and the nightlife is considered to be the best in Scotland. You will for sure be charmed by its unique and dynamic atmosphere. Another thing. Despite its size, you can easily visit Glasgow on foot. Glasgow is an awesome place to have a city break. Number 15. Fort William. Fort William is probably one of the most well-known places to visit in Scotland. It's one of the first big towns in the Scottish Highlands and a popular tourist destination, thanks to being home to the UK's tallest mountain, Ben Nevis. It's also home to a ski centre, so is a popular place for families to visit. But even if you're not there for the mountain itself, there are still lots of beautiful walks and views in this area to experience. Fort William is also the starting point for one of the world's most famous train rides, the Jacobite. Harry Potter fans will recognize it as the Hogwarts Express, and this train ride will take you through the beautiful countryside, crossing some iconic Harry Potter filming locations, such as Dumbledore's grave and the Glenfinnan Viaduct. Number 14. Glen Coe. It's just a stream of dramatic mountains, lakes, rugged beauty, and more. With its sumptuous mountains and lush green valleys, this is simply one of the most beautiful regions of the country. Scottish mountain lovers and tourists both love to come to Glen Coe to enjoy the many hiking paths the region has to offer. It was honestly such a magical place to visit, and if you only have time to visit one place, make it Glen Coe. It's truly one of the most magical places in Scotland. Number 13. Luskentyre Beach. Located on the breathtaking west coast of South Harris overlooking the Atlantic Ocean in the Outer Hebrides, Luskentyre Beach offers a peaceful and timeless getaway for the intrepid visitor to the islands of Scotland. The beach is among the most beautiful coastal areas in Scotland, together with its creamy white sands, blue-green seas, and vibrant green hillside, which makes for the perfect backdrop. Luskentyre Beach has been voted Britain's best beach. Number 12. Melrose Abbey. Melrose Abbey was founded in 1136 by Cistercian monks at the request of King David I of Scotland. Although it is now a ruin, this grand ruin with lavish Masonic decoration is thought to hold the embalmed heart of Robert the Bruce, another king of Scotland. Truly a place of legends, Melrose Abbey is one of the most historically significant architectural structures in Scotland. Number 11. Whisky. The islands of Islay and Jura, both situated on the west coast of Scotland, play host to some of Scotland's very best whisky distilleries, including Ardbeg, Jura, Bowmore, Kilchoman, Laphroaig, and Lagavulin. Although the distilleries can be visited at any time of year, for the whisky aficionado, the best time to go is during the week-long whisky festival which occurs every summer. Besides the gargantuan quantity of whisky to be had, the festival includes saleads, cooking with whisky evenings, and Celtic music concerts, in addition to a charity whisky barrel push across Islay. And on the final day, festival revelers are treated to a carnival held on Portellen Green. Number 10. Isle of Arran. The lovely Isle of Arran is called Scotland in miniature for good reason. This picture-perfect island off the country's west coast mirrors the landscapes of the entire country in an area of scarcely 166 square miles. Here, you can find rolling moors, rugged mountains, sandy beaches, fishing harbors, castles, and golf courses, all less than an hour's ferry ride from Glasgow, and all within an area you can easily explore in a day or two. Best of all, there's no need for a car because buses run regularly around the island, connecting its main attractions. Although its highlights including Brodick Castle and Goat Fell Mountain can be visited in a day, you could easily spend a few days exploring this little sampler of Scotland. And you really should. Number 9. Eilean Donan. Connected to the mainland by way of a simple footbridge which was created during the castle's restoration during the early part of the 20th century, Eilean Donan, which is situated in the Western Highlands of Scotland, is a small tidal island perched where three lochs meet, Loch Duch, Loch Alsh, and Loch Long. The castle, which takes the same name as the island, was originally established in the early 13th century and served as a defensive port against marauding Vikings. Today, the castle is a popular venue for both film and weddings and is one of the most photographed structures in Scotland. It has appeared in films such as James Bond, Bonnie Prince Charlie, The New Avengers, and Highlander. Number 8. The Burns Heritage Trail. No visit to Scotland is complete without visiting at least one or two sites associated with the country's most famous son, poet Robbie Burns. A great way to experience a little of Burns' life and times as well as see some of the most beautiful parts of the country is along the Burns Heritage Trail. Start at the Robert Burns Birthplace Museum in Alloway, on the outskirts of Ayr, where you'll find the perfectly preserved thatched house where the poet was born and spent much of his childhood. After visiting other Burns-related landmarks including a monument and gardens created to commemorate his life and time in Ayr, a collection of his most important writing, and the 16th century Auld Kirk where his father is buried, this circular tour heads south to Dumfries. Here, you can see the excellent Robert Burns house where the celebrated poet spent the last 4 years of his life. Now a museum displaying Burns-related memorabilia, this attraction portrays a vivid portrait of his life, and his final resting place is just a short distance away in St. Michael's Churchyard. Number 7. The Northern Highlands. Stretching from the city of Inverness up to Thurso at the northern peak of the Scottish mainland is the magnificent Northern Highlands. The ancient fault line gave rise to the creation of the Caledonian Canal, which extends from Inverness on the east coast over to the Corpach near Fort William on the west coast. Though much of the mountainous region is entirely uninhabited, making it an ideal location for biking and hiking adventures, the area is dotted with many beautiful small towns and villages. Perhaps the most charming is the little coastal town of Dornach, which is noted for its castle and cathedral ruins. Number 6. Gulf St. Andrews. The Scots lay claim to many inventions, including the bicycle, postage stamps, telephones, and steam engines. But perhaps their most enduring invention is the game of golf. One of the lifetime dreams of dedicated golfers is to play the much revered Royal and Ancient Golf Club, located in historic St. Andrews and just 12 miles southeast of Dundee. Founded in 1750 and recognized internationally as golf's ruling body, St. Andrews regularly hosts the famous British Open at one of its many 18-hole courses, the most famous of which is the par 72 Old Course, running alongside the rugged coast. Although tee times are often reserved 6 months in advance, some are kept available by lottery 2 days in advance for those who do not have reservations. Worth visiting are the majestic old clubhouse and the British Golf Museum, which documents the history of the home of golf from the Middle Ages to the present day. Number 5. Stirling Castle. Perfectly situated between Glasgow in the west and Edinburgh to the east, Stirling is famed for several bloody historic battles, including the Battle of Bannockburn, which witnessed Robert the Bruce's defeat of the English in 1314, and the Battle of Stirling Bridge, whereby the legendary William Wallace helped to secure Scottish independence from the English King Edward I. Just outside Stirling at Abbey Craig stands the courtly Wallace Monument, a splendid 246-step tower, which offers sumptuous views over the entire area, in addition to being the home to several artifacts, which are claimed to have belonged to Wallace. Then there's the 12th century Stirling Castle, which is reminiscent of Edinburgh Castle, sitting atop a volcanic crag close to the center of the city. Number 4. Isle of Skye. The largest of Scotland's inner isles, Skye is especially popular with birders, ramblers, and nature lovers. Its wild, romantic mountain scenery is marked by green valleys, caves, lonely glens, sandy beaches, and rushing waterfalls, quite a remarkable variety for an island just 50 miles long and never more than 15 miles wide. The island has the remains of primeval oak forests, as well as an abundance of wildlife that includes otters, seals, and at least 200 species of birds. Getting to Skye is easy, as it's connected to the mainland via a bridge. You can also get here by ferry. The other islands in the Inner Hebrides include, among others, Islay, Jura, Mull, Rossay, Staffa, and Iona. Getting to Iona is a bit more complicated, requiring 2 ferry rides, but is tremendously rewarding. This is considered Scotland's cradle of Christianity, as it was here that St. Columba arrived from Ireland in the 6th century to spread the gospel. A 12th century church, atmospheric ruins of an abbey, and a carved stone memorial from the 10th century are among its attractions. It's also home to Scotland's oldest Christian cemetery, with graves of more than 60 Scottish kings, including Macbeth. Number 3. Loch Lomond and Trossachs National Park. Situated about 14 miles north of Glasgow and part of the Trossachs National Park, lies Britain's largest lake, Loch Lomond. With its plentiful supplies of salmon, trout, and whitefish, it serves as an extremely popular locale for anglers the world over. And surrounded by spectacular mountain slopes and streams, it's also celebrated by hikers, day trippers, and water sports enthusiasts. For those with boundless amounts of energy, a stiff hike up Ben Lomond, the tallest peak in the area, which stands at 3,192 feet, is well and truly worth it merely to take in the spectacular surrounding views. At the southern end of the loch, Cameron House makes for an excellent place to experience the wonders of a Scottish castle, take in the fresh loch air, and savor the expansive range of outdoor activities. Number 2. Edinburgh Castle. Edinburgh Castle is a true icon of Scotland and has dominated the skyline of the capital for centuries. Unusually, it's set atop an extinct volcano. It offers magnificent views of the city and a trip through Scotland's tumultuous history. Highlights of Edinburgh Castle are the spectacular crown jewels, the famous Stone of Destiny, and St. Margaret's Chapel, built in 1130 and the oldest building in Edinburgh. Enter the castle over a drawbridge across an old moat from the broad esplanade, where the famous Edinburgh military tattoo is held every August. Bronze statues of legendary heroes William Wallace and Robert the Bruce seem to keep watch over the castle gates. It takes the title of Scotland's most visited paid-for attraction and is, of course, one of the top must-see places in Scotland. Below, the Royal Mile stretches down the steep escarpment to the elegant Palace of Holyrood House, another Edinburgh's most famous landmarks. Lined by brick townhouses and historic landmarks, the Royal Mile is also filled with small shops, kilt makers, tea rooms, museums, and cafes. Between its tall buildings, some reaching more than 10 stories on the downhill side, are narrow little alleys, called wynds, that weave between tiny hidden closes. Be sure to also include the National Museum of Scotland in your Edinburgh itinerary, too. One of Scotland's top attractions, this fun museum includes everything from medieval artifacts to displays relating to art and science. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Number 1. Loch Ness. If you think of Loch Ness, near the small city of Inverness, you'll likely picture the mythical monster, which, according to legend, has made a home of the loch for countless centuries. For a thoroughly detailed portrayal of the monster, no place does a better task of fueling the legend than that Drumnadrichet Hotel's Loch Ness exhibition. To add further allure to the loch, the much photographed Urquhart Castle stands over the water as it sits on a strip of land that juts out into the loch. Irrespective of the castle is now a ruin, it, together with the loch, remains among the most popular tourist attractions within the country. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchZilla and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.